Welcome to Black Success. This is Corey Rayshawn. I am on the phone with Mark Duncan. He is the FundCoach, and he's coming to New York on November 10th to be a part of one of our workshops. He's bringing the workshop entitled Make Moves. This is a workshop for non-profit organizations to learn how to raise money. He's got 5 tips to get that check written. We're going to talk to him and learn a little bit more about who he is and what he's bringing on November 10th.
Black. Black Success.
Hey, this is Corey Rayshawn. I'm on the phone with Mark Duncan from the FundCoach. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing fantastic, Corey. How are you?
I'm doing well. Doing very well. I want my audience to know a little bit more about you. We're going to bring you into our studios on November 10th. I know that the theme of what you're going to be talking about is called Making Moves, but let our audience know a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do as the FundCoach.
Absolutely. First, I'm really excited about this opportunity to bring this workshop to you and the group of folks that will be attending. A little bit about me. I have been a fundraising professional for the last 20 years. So what I do is I work with major donors to solicit them for gifts to support various initiatives. I have worked in higher education. I've worked in camp and conference ministry. I've also worked in public media fundraising as well as healthcare. So I run the gamut of fundraising experience for various nonprofits, from small to large. And so my background and my experience has led me into this whole concept of coaching, not consulting, but coaching. And so what I do is I work with nonprofit professionals, and I help them become confident fundraising professionals. And I do that through helping them identify what it is their goals are. We put together a plan, and then I work with them through weekly coaching sessions to monitor that plan and to execute that plan. So I'm an accountability partner. So that's essentially a little bit about me and my background. The fundraising that I do runs the gamut from all the way from direct mail to grants to major gifts to planned gifts to event fundraising. So I have lots of experience in all of those areas as it relates to generating philanthropic support.
Got it. How did you get started?
Wow. So about 20 years ago, I was working for a small camp and conference center as the program director. And we were thinking about launching an urban day camp program actually in Newark, New Jersey. And so the executive director and I found out about this grant opportunity, and so we partnered and wrote what was my very first grant proposal for $60,000, and it got funded. And so that was when the fundraising bug hit, because I realized that when you're working in nonprofit, you are typically providing services, programs, and such to a particular constituency or community. And the only way to do that and do that in a way that is meaningful and effective is you need to have dollars to be able to provide quality programs. Yeah. So when I was able to secure that $60,000 commitment, that's when the juices started flowing, and I said, boy, I want to do more of this. And so my boss at the time, I said, look, I like this. This is great. I want to do more fundraising. I want to, it just piqued my interest, and rightfully so. He said, "Look, you're our program director. You're responsible for marketing and building our program, and so I need you to focus on those things." But that feeling never subsided, and so about a year later, an opportunity came to me for an executive director position at another camp and conference center. And I thought, well, wow, let me look into this. This was an organization that had done very little fundraising, maybe about $2,000 a year in fundraising. So I applied, got the position, walked in there, raised $20,000 my first year, $40,000 the next, and then $65,000, and ultimately getting up to about $300,000 in total fundraising before I decided that, wow, okay, I love this fundraising thing, done with the camping thing, and began to seek out positions that were pure fundraising. And that's when I wound up in higher education for 8 years as a campaign associate. And so that's sort of the beginning. That's what launched me on this trajectory. And again, I can't emphasize enough, and I hope the folks that are participating in this workshop are working for nonprofit organizations, and they're just trying to figure out how they can do their good work better. And most of the times, the only way to do that is to be able to increase funding so that you can have more resources to provide stronger programs or serve more people. And that's the thing that bounces me out of bed every day.
Right. Wow, that's really good, though. It's got to be exciting when you know that you can actually meet your goals and really take something, especially with nonprofit organizations that are, helping communities and giving them or getting them the money that they need to make those programs stick. Do you find out, because especially in the arts community, because that's where I'm pretty much strong in, we find out that grants aren't really readily available, and you see now more of these artists, and now there's so many independent artists that are looking for money for their projects. Is there a thing going on with grants where they're lessened and where you see the increase in fundraising?
Well, I don't think much has changed in terms of grants, perhaps in their availability. And I would also say that in this day and age, that return on investment that the grantor wants to see, sometimes they will scrutinize that a little bit more. So, for example, you find an opportunity where there's a grantor that wants to support only, let's just say theater, small theater production. Right. But now they may be the only, one of maybe 4 grantors that are providing that kind of support. And then the question is, how much money do they have available? So the competition is really what I think has increased, which is probably leading to, the observation that you've made, is that it makes it a little bit more difficult to attain at least large grants when you have so many groups of the same type pursuing grant opportunities that there may not be a lot. So the most effective way, and this is part of what I'll be talking about at the workshop, the most effective way to fundraise is face-to-face fundraising. It's called major gifts fundraising. And and what you're doing is you're identifying those prospects and building those relationships and ultimately turning that relationship into a major gift to support your initiative. No other fundraising tactic is as effective as major gifts fundraising. The challenge with major gifts fundraising that I think most people have is there is an innate fear to have that conversation, and talk with folks. I work with people to break through that fear and help them understand through a series of steps. And so, fundraising is an art and science. So we're going to talk about sort of both sides of those things that will give them the confidence to raise dollars through that very, very effective manner. And that's through major gift fundraising.
Okay. Are there other things that you think, before I get to that question, let me ask you, who should be attending this workshop?
So that's an excellent question. So if you are working for a nonprofit organization, obviously, and you have a responsibility in fundraising, so you may be the executive director, you may be the program director, you could very well be a development director or the development staff person, and you're looking to hone your skills better. Those are the kinds of folks that I think would benefit greatly from this workshop, as well as board members. So every nonprofit, every 501c3 has a board of directors. They may not have a full-time staff person, so you may have somebody who is the president of the board who has responsibility for fundraising. They should come as well. So that's like our perfect audience that I think would benefit greatly from what I have to share.
Okay. And what do you think, outside of what you just mentioned, people coming to this event would walk away with what? Not only the confidence, I'm thinking, but their...
Sure. Well, they're going to walk away with not only the confidence to be good at fundraising, but they're going to walk away with a plan, and not a plan specific to their organization. That's what I can help them do on the back end. So should they come through this and say, I really want to sit down and forge a plan, then they can get in contact with me and, we can begin that coaching process. But what they're going to learn from me are the necessary, steps, and there are 6 steps, 5 or 6 steps, that I will show them that will ensure that they will be able to raise the dollars that they need to support their mission. And they're very strategic steps, and we will walk through each of those steps in terms of what they need to do, how they will accomplish them. So when they leave there, they're going to walk out of there feeling much better, I think, about what their next step is as it relates to fundraising. And it will alleviate that fear because the steps that I will share with them in terms of helping them get from one step to the next is going to be, very, 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 very helpful to them. So, and to tell you what those, what those steps are, we'll learn how to identify prospects. They'll learn how to sort of build those relationships with prospects. They'll learn how to make that ask. That's the thing that is, probably the most scary thing is, learning when and how and for what to make that ask for. And then we'll close that gift. So asking for a gift is one thing. Getting that answer and closing the deal is another step. Yeah, and then finally, and probably most importantly, is how to continue to maintain those strong relationships that you've begun with those donors so that you can continue to build on the relationship and on the support that they can provide to your organization.
Right. I think that is so important. Just being in the industry, too, for now over 20 years, and watching the people that I've been involved with, go and try. And that's the thing, it's they try, but there is a whole process to it. There's a lot of time, too, that it takes to build those relationships. I think some artists, nonprofit organizations, or people that are starting nonprofit organizations think it's an overnight success. They have a great idea. It's no different than running a business. It takes time to develop, grow, and to I wanted to say something more than just build a relationship, but really hone your skills.
Well, it's building it. Yeah, it's building the relationships. It's sustaining those relationships, and most importantly, as you're, sustaining those relationships, you are sharing with that person the work that you're doing, and you're showing them the impact that you're having on the people you serve. So that's the thing that keeps them coming back. It's showing them where the rubber meets the road. It's showing them that return on investment, so that they'll say, "Wow, this is meaningful. This is doing some fantastic things for these kids or these adults or this particular constituency group, and I want to help them continue to succeed." And that's what this is all about. It's it's not just going out and asking people for money and walking away. It's more than that. But it's at the end of the day, and again back to this sort of target audience. So everybody that will come to this workshop really only need to possess two things. They need to possess social graces, so that ability to be able to interact with folks, in a way that's comfortable and cordial, and a passion for their mission. Mm-hmm. The rest of it I can teach. Okay. And so that's the thing that I hope if anyone is listening to this conversation right now, I hope that's the biggest takeaway, is that you're coming to me eager to help the people that you're trying to serve through your nonprofit mission, and you have a willingness to tell that story. Mm-hmm. And those two things, those are the two key ingredients that you need, and the rest I can teach to get you to be a successful fundraiser.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Before we go, I just had a thought that I want to ask. You said in your past that you were dealing with marketing and programming. Was that right, or planning?
Yes.
And how does that play, having that knowledge behind you? How does that play well with fundraising?
So that's a fantastic question. So the transition for me, as from being a program director and then having to sort of market our programs to our constituency group, was really, in hindsight, it was really about me doing two things. One, as the program director, I was implementing those programs. So I was the person. I was where the rubber met the road. Mm-hmm. So when I was out talking with, and this was a church-based camp and conference center, when I was out talking with ministers and church groups and kids, I could tell the stories. I could tell the stories about the programs that we provided and the impact that they had on our kids. And then from a marketing standpoint, it was being able to tell that story in a way. And of course, this is now back in the early to mid 90s, so you didn't have this powerful medium that we have through social media. So social media back then was maybe an email blast, if that. Right. But you still had to get the word out there that this was a meaningful thing. They all tie together, Corey. They all do. So everything that I led me to where I am now sort of gave me some really good footing. So being able to tell the story, being able to convey to donors the impact that you're having is really the most important piece, of this fundraising thing. And essentially, when it comes down to asking for it, you should be so comfortable and so confident that this person or this couple or this group is going to sign on in a way that you ask them to, so that you can do the good work that you're doing through your services.
Right. Well, look, I am looking forward to this. It's November 10th. The doors are going to open at 5:30. We'll get started at 6, giving people enough time to get there. We'll have some really good food for people because they're coming in right after work, so you'll get some energy that way, so that the rest of the evening you'll be able to take in the information that's being displayed. Mark, it was fantastic talking to you.
Corey, it was great talking to you, too. I'm very, very excited about this workshop, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on November 10th.
Yeah, me too. All right. Hey, I want to thank you all for listening. That was Mark Duncan. He will be here in New York on November 10th. The best way to get your tickets or to purchase your entry is to go to blacksuccess.com, and that's black, BLAK, success.com. Tickets are $40 for Black Success members, and for non-members, it is $55. We look forward to seeing you on November 10th at 526 West 26th Street in New York City. Don't forget, the doors open at 5:30. There will be food there by Chef Nico, and we will get started at 6 p.m. I look forward to seeing all of you there. Peace.
Black. Black success.